Welcome to Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. Woo! Are you guys ready for another awesome episode right here with Community with Closers? And that's what we do. We bring you stories. We bring you just the energy of overcoming obstacles throughout business, right? Life. We hear the stories. You hear the, struggles, the enthusiasm, but overall winning right here on Community with Closers. And I have an amazing guest, my good friend, Garry Menk. I'm going to bring him on stage here. What is up, Garry?
Hey, Pat, how are you? How are you, Coach, as I like to call you?
That's right. No, I'm doing good, man. Doing really good. It's been a blast of a year. We got so much going on. And, you had mentioned coach, and it was a pleasure, dude, coaching you, watching you grow your business and many others, of course.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that, man, that opportunity to lean in a little bit on your business.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I want to do, man, is kind of unfold, if you will, peel the banana back, right, on what's going on there at Clean and your background, dude. Like, I don't know, when we first met, I was just intrigued on surfing, like all the cool adventure stuff you do. So tell us a little bit about that to start it off, man.
Well, way before cleaning, I worked in the water sports industry for about 20 years. I started way back in like 96, 95 with windsurfing. I taught myself how to windsurf. Even before that, if I go way back in 1990 or 89, I started snowboarding and taught myself how to snowboard and became one of the first snowboard instructors on the East Coast. And did that for a while, and I was always into board sports, was kind of like a semi-professional skateboarder. And then got into kiteboarding and windsurfing, kiteboarding in about 99, 98. One of the first guys to kind of get into that. And I just kind of like getting into things, and seeing where they go. So worked my way up from a sales rep. So started getting sales experience really early to operations manager for this company.
Okay.
And so I worked my way up through sales, customer service, warehousing, operations. So it really set me up to be able to do my own business. And at some point, that business, that opportunity kind of ran out in terms of where I could grow and do. So I started my own distribution company with water sports and distributed paddleboards all over North and South America. And then came to the conclusion that I did not want to deal with inventory. I did not want to deal with giving people 30, 60, 90-day terms, laying out hundreds of thousands of dollars for inventory to be made overseas, get shipped on a container, hope it makes it, hope it didn't have to sit in transit or at a port and, slow my season down. So it was a lot of headaches. And so when I saw that industry coming to a close, when I saw that the people I was selling boards to were being approached directly by the manufacturer, I was like, you know what? It's time to go. So I sold my share of the business, and really for about a year, it's kind of like I didn't know what to do. I was really lost. Sure. And it took a while for me to kind of figure it out. And, we all know AC Lockyer, and I give him credit for making those great videos. Before I did any of this, way back, I had an auto detailing business back in the early 90s. And I really enjoyed the cleaning side of it. And I really enjoyed getting paid right away and seeing customers, the satisfaction of doing the cleaning and the results from the customer. So I wanted to look into doing something like that, but on a bigger scale.
Got it.
So when I saw one of AC's videos, I was like, this could be something. Living in Florida, I went to Orlando, spent a couple days there with David Rhodes and the other guys doing the training. And left with a skid.
Nice.
And kind of the rest is history.
Yeah. I mean, you were pumped, man, because like, when was that? What year was that?
That was about 6 years ago.
Okay. Very good. So the industry just started booming. You're getting into it. And
Yeah.
where in Florida are you starting this?
So I'm in Jupiter, Florida. So
Yeah.
that's just above West Palm.
Nice. Awesome. So what
Mhm.
was that like? So got the skid, right? So we got people that are just starting their businesses. We got some seasoned, cleaners on here. So what does that look like? Getting the skid? What was it, just hit the ground running? What was that for you?
You go into these things, myself personally, coming with so much experience in sales, this, that, the other, with a much bigger ego than I should have had.
Mm,
You go into it thinking, oh, I'm just going to do this, 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 and I'm going to be busy as can be. And, that was not the case. I got the skid, the truck, got back, got the vehicle wrapped, and, took my pictures, you know, created my Facebook page and started and built a Wix site myself, which is the one I still have. And I thought that was it. I was going to, be an instant millionaire.
mm,
And far from it. It was a lot of what do I do now? Where do I advertise? And I spent the first couple months, kind of tinkering, letting friends of friends know,
mhm.
and got a little bit of business that way. But it wasn't until I finally decided, look, I need to go back to my training, really dial in the area I want to be, dial in those demographics,
Yeah.
and what community has that perfect customer,
Mm,
right? That made enough money, was in an area maybe with a few more lakes, maybe with a few more trees that I knew I was going to get a lot more business. Maybe that had an HOA was going to force them to keep their place clean. So I created an EDDM mailer and sent it out, and I just started getting business slowly, 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 but it started creeping in.
yep.
So that's kind of where I got started. And it was really myself, and then I brought my nephew on board to help me be my assistant tech.
Nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that in the beginning because you do anything you can. Like, you're online, you're on the forums. Like,
yeah,
in the beginning, 3, 4 months is like crunch time because you're really figuring out your way. You're figuring out what sites you need to post your website on. You need to figure out, like, the Yelp. You're doing all the free stuff, the organic, coming up. That way, when you advertise, it's like the 1-2 punch. Then they see you, right? Then they get the flyer, the EDDM, and you're there. You're able to search, look for reviews. And I know that so well. It's like the crunch time of like just going and boots on the ground, getting the business, asking friends, going to realtor offices, doing all the things to bootstrap a business in the beginning. And it does. It
mhm.
takes time
It
to
takes
start
time.
building those customers.
Yeah.
So got the nephew in. So you're pulling anybody you can at this point because it's just you.
Yeah. I mean, I had my wife out there once or twice, like watering plants. It's like you have to do what you have to do. If you got a job at that stage, you're
Yep.
winning. You're just like, hey, I'm able to, I didn't have a warehouse. I didn't have anything at the time. It was just like everything was parked at my house, one truck at my house.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did do that I was very happy I did with is I got a CRM from day one.
Ooh. Yep.
And I think anybody out there that's just starting, I think that's just so critical to at least start off with the basics of a CRM. I don't care if it's Service Monster, which is what I use, or House Call Pro, or whatever else somebody wants to recommend out there. Start from day one. I don't know how many people I know that have these pretty thriving businesses that don't know who any other customers are, other
Yeah.
than, maybe they know when they call them.
Yeah.
And it's sad. So I wish I would have, if I could go back, I would have done a little more research a little earlier instead of just maybe jumping the gun into the business. I would have
Mm,
just figured it out a little bit more into what my marketing was before, kind of like, okay, this is how I'm going to make my money now.
yeah. Yeah, it's so important. I mean, you're right with the CRM is like we have all the technology now, and you see companies that are still stuck in kind of in their old way, right? You got guys that even been in business for 20 years and they don't have that CRM where they can trickle all their advertisement throughout the year to them. They
Yeah.
they're just waiting and hoping that they call back. And
Yeah.
that's the reality. It's like you market in the beginning and then slowly your marketing budget, can go down because 20 years later, you know what I mean? You have a nice solid customer base. You
You
really don't
really
have to
do.
advertise anymore at that point.
It takes time. I mean, we're at about a 60 to 70% repeat rate for our residential customers, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I know the industry average is far lower, but we reach out to them a lot.
Yeah.
Automatically. Everything's automated, but we make it a point to have a very good follow-up sequence.
Yeah. I remember when you came to some of the trainings, you were looking at technology a lot,
Mhm.
utilized in your business, like different mapping stuff for like where
Mhm.
you're targeting those communities for that customer avatar that you spoke about
Mhm.
and, all the stuff. So that was really neat that you were diving right into that. And that was shoot 5, 6 years ago, like
Yeah, yeah.
about 5 years. So you're probably a year, maybe a year and a half into your business.
Yeah, the first part of it was just kind of figuring out like, okay, I know we did a couple of days of training, but then like, at least where we are, the roofs are pretty difficult. It's a lot of barrel tile. It's and we're trying to do it safely. We're trying to anchor the right way and do all these things, or do it from the ladder as much as we can. Florida has a lot of zero lot lines, and you're not putting a 32-foot ladder on a zero lot line. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out safe ways to do it. And the first year was really a learning experience because I didn't feel comfortable teaching somebody else when I didn't even know what I was doing safely.
Yeah.
Right. So that was also difficult. It's not like, a shingle roof that you can pretty much get out there and kind of start figuring it out within a couple months. This was a little bit steeper learning curve, I would say.
Yeah. I agree. Like runoff. I mean, there's a lot of technical stuff
Yeah.
for that.
Brown gutters. Who's going to tell you that brown gutters will get, bleach streaks in them if you don't treat them like the most delicate plant in the world?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's funny how you learn that. You kind of mess up sometimes, and you're like, "Ooh, now you know." And there's things in there you just gotta sometimes learn by doing,
Yeah.
and then correcting, fixing the problem, creating a system, right? So then you can train technicians.
Yeah.
And so fast forward a little bit, like how many trucks do you have right now?
Right now we have 2 vans. I switched everything over to ProMaster vans because I like everything lasts a lot longer. My hoses, it's been forever since I've had to change them because the sun isn't beating down on them. My
Nice.
pumps, my equipment don't get hot.
Yeah.
If it's, my technicians, if they need to, fix something, adjust something, they're in the shade. I've got toilets inside, porta potties inside the vans for the guys. So I like vans. I really take the time when I get them to bed line every single square inch of them. I have drain holes. I have vents. I take the time to really set them up correctly. But I've got 2, and that's keeping me busy enough right now.
Yeah.
And then a sales vehicle.
Yes. Yep. So in that, you're growing in that 6 years. I want to dive into sales, right?
Yep.
Because that's part of it. Like you got the marketing down, you're getting business in. Now it's like you're doing all the sales, you're kind of pulling your hair out a little bit, right? Because you're running all the leads, you're running the business, you're training technicians, you're going out, obviously inspecting on those tile roof cleanings.
Yeah.
So let's speak on that a little bit. It's like, what was it like to hire your first sales rep? Did you have a system when you first hired your sales rep? What did that look like?
Well, I would say I didn't have a very good system. I kind of, borrowed bits and pieces from everybody else. And for the long time, I'm telling you, like, you got to go into this without an ego, thinking that you know more than maybe your coach does in certain aspects or whatever. You got to go into it you got to be go into it completely. I don't want to say dumb, but listen, really take the time to listen to other people. So when I brought on my first person, there was not nearly enough role play involved, and nor did I feel I knew enough yet. I thought I did at the time, but looking back, I didn't.
Yeah.
I would go into it much more technical, like here are all the things we're going to do. And I would tell my sales guy, yeah, this is the system we use, and these are the chemicals we use, and this is, what we do, instead of why we do it. And it took me a long time to teach my sales guy, to sell the hole instead of the drill or the drill bit. And I think that's really critical for anybody getting into this business is the people don't care the PSI. The people may care whether you're biodegradable or not, but they really don't care about your technique. They just don't. Half of them don't even care about the insurance, to be honest with you. They should, but they don't. What they want to care about is why. And you can tell a lot when you're talking to a customer. And I tell my sales guys this is look at people's eyes when you're talking to them. Do they look down? Okay, well, that's probably something that they have a negative opinion about. Okay, like, they look down. And maybe you dive into that in a little bit deeper sense, like, oh, your plants got damaged before, or, oh, your plant damage is a big concern of yours. If they perk up, then that's probably something you want to bring up and highlight.
Yeah,
that's really important. It's like, oh, yeah, it's going to last up to 6 times longer. They perk up, yeah, and you're going to save a bunch of money by not having to do this every 3 months. So you have to be able to, I think, sell to people in a way that is going to show them the benefit. And I've heard you say that a bunch of times. It's the benefit of the benefit.
Yeah.
And I think that's so critical to go in there with the attitude of, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to sell to you. I'm going to tell you the benefit of why working with us is the best way to go. But I'm not going to twist your arm. I'm not going to try to close you.
Yeah.
I will ask questions until I find out why that no is a no. I think a lot of people just say, oh, okay.
Yeah, they do.
But I think it's very important to ask them questions to figure that out. Be like, oh, it comes down to money, or you're not the decision maker. That's great. Can we split this into 2 payments? When can I come back and talk to the wife, the husband, whoever it may be? So going back to your question, did I do a great job with my first sales guy? No, because I didn't know any of this, and I thought I did. Now with my new guy, I knew it was going to take a while. So I knew for the first 3 months of sending him out there, my sales were going to drop. You have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
They're not going to do what you do. But now I would say he's every bit as good or better than I am.
Nice.
Because we did a ton of role playing. I got permission from one of my friends to record the conversation at his house with his Ring doorbell, give it to me so I could play it to my sales guy so he could see just how off track he was going when he thought he was going the right way. And I think that's very critical. Send your sales guy to your buddy's house. Have them record the Ring camera. It's legal. It's on their property.
Yeah.
And get the footage.
Yep.
And utilize it for training, and make sure you go into it with an attitude of, hey, this is not meant to tear you down. Your notes should be notes of, you're doing a great job. I see where you went over all these things we do, but here's where we could improve.
Yeah.
And it's taken a while, but Daniel, my sales guy, he's awesome. People love him because he's confident, but he's trying. Now he sells the benefit instead of nervously selling what we do.
Yep. I love that, man. Yeah, and I just did a video the other day. It was like, what are people doing with Ring cameras? Because literally everybody has a Ring camera now, in their window, at the door, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're door knocking. What do you do with a Ring camera, right? And you got to be memorable. You got to do the funny things. You've seen there's TikTok and there's Instagram videos of dad jokes on the Ring camera, right? And it'll beep, boop, boop, and it says recording. Boom, do something funny, right? And so we were doing that yesterday up here in Charlotte, doing some funny things that they can play, share, whatever, right? But you're there door knocking. So same thing, you're utilizing it for training purposes. I mean, there's companies now like Rilla, right, that record your conversation with your top sales guys. And then you grab that data and you figure out, okay, well, now we know the top sales guy is asking, 80% more questions on an appointment.
Yes.
Because he's the top guy. Okay, so now let's trickle that down to your low guy on the totem pole and let him start asking more questions, role play, and then you're uplifting the whole team to start producing like your top producers. So I love that you're using that, Garry, is like, it's technology, and guess what? You're utilizing that for training purposes.
You have to. I mean, you got to. The way I explain it to my sales guy is, think about how many practices any team goes through before they play a game.
Yeah.
So, he was annoyed by the amount of role playing that we did for sales, where I would ask questions like, yeah, that's a little too expensive for me. Or, I really have to ask, like, well, what do you say now? I don't, for me, when you're role playing, I don't care if you get it wrong, just go into it with something, don't freeze, keep it going, smile, do something, but keep moving. And it takes time, but I would, again, the recommendation, whoever's teaching sales out there, is practice, practice, practice. If you're new to it and you've never done it, practice with your friend, your spouse, whoever. Just practice until it feels comfortable asking questions.
That's it. You gotta get the talk down. You gotta get the key points. And like you said too, bring it back to their home. Don't just talk in generality, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what we do. Like tie it to their home. I like doing that. And then you're speaking to their home. They feel more comfortable, and get the price right out of the way. If you get the price right out of the way, tell them what you're doing. They'll start off opening up and talking about personal things, right? And that's when you're like, okay, this is awesome. Like we closed I don't even know, $1,600 job today, just going over those things, opening up, speaking on their house, talking about the heights and the benefits, and then they'll open up.
You got to paint the picture, and every person is different. Some people are very technical. You get an engineer, sometimes they like a little bit of technicality. I like to paint the picture of what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel so great walking home and seeing how nice the house is going to look. You can joke around and be like, hey, I'm sorry. And they'll be like, why are you sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Your neighbor's going to be a little jealous. And, you're going to be that person on the block now. They're going to be talking to you. So I apologize in advance. Another thing you can also say a lot is just, do you mind if, instead of just telling somebody something, you're going to say it anyways, get their permission to say it. And they're not going to say, no, I mind. Do you mind if I give you my recommendation on which direction we should go? Ooh. They're not going to say no.
Yeah.
Who's going to say no?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I tell you why?
That's good.
Do you mind if I tell you why I think you're potentially making a bad decision? It's a way to lower the stress level of just saying, Pat, I really think you're making a bad decision here.
Yeah.
Versus, Pat, do you mind if I tell you why I think this might be a bad decision? And changing your tonality and sounding concerned.
Yeah. Yep. Now you care about their health.
Yeah, little things that if you're talking to a 4-year-old, how does your tonality change where you really want to show concern and keep them calm?
Yeah.
I think that's critical, but that takes a long time to learn.
It does. When to do that, right? Yeah. But it all matters. Tonality, like your where your body position is. You know what I mean? There's so much to it. But again, practicing and knowing, right, how those customers react, and are they slouching? Are they looking down, right? What makes their eyes kind of say, okay, what are the buzzwords, right? Yeah. And those are all the things that you put in your arsenal and go forward in your presentation, because humans are creatures of habit, right? Absolutely. We all kind of do the same thing. And, it goes with the cleaning side too. You know what I mean? Like they want their house cleaned a certain way, and so does the next person. And so you take that and then you build it in the system.
And I think part of all this starts when you answer the phone. If someone calls up, instead of just getting their name, number, email, phone, how did you hear about us? Very important. Why us? What are some of your concerns that you have? Put down those concerns in your CRM so that when your sales guy goes out there, I tell my sales guy he's got an empty gun when he gets there, right? And he's got to put bullets in, and the bullets are the questions you ask. And some of those bullets have to start with whoever answers the phone to be able to preload the gun with a couple almost, So, like the customer's like, oh, your last experience, someone fried all your plants? Well, let me tell you a little bit about how great our plant protection guarantee is in our process to make sure that does not happen. Yeah. Because if that was a bad experience, I hate to say it, but you want to bring up and make them relive that pain.
Yeah.
That's very important. But if you don't know that they had that pain because you didn't take the time to ask a few questions at the beginning of the conversation when you answered that phone to get their info, you're going in there again with empty gun.
Yeah.
You get enough bullets in the chamber, then there you go. You're going to create that sale. You're not going to miss with every one of them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You
So I
got
think that's really critical. Yeah.
Love it. So, when you're getting those sales guys, you're training them to do this, right from the gate now. You're putting in scripts and stuff.
Mhm.
So, with that sales team,
Mhm.
what does a week look like for you leading the sales team? Because with business owners and managers, for me, I was never a manager before, so
Mhm.
um, what kind of things are you doing, overseeing? Are you approving quotes? What are some pitfalls maybe people will run into with a salesperson, maybe starting out?
Starting out, it's going to be not setting an expectation for the customer. I think that's a big one. People will go out and be like, "Oh yeah, it's going to look great." Okay, well, what about that
Brand new.
oxidation? What about that oxidation? What happens when you wipe your hand on it? Is it really going to look great? Or are we gonna uncover hidden damage? And
Mhm.
I think you have to be as honest with what could go wrong as what's going to go right, because it's just going to create, you know, a better relationship with you and that customer. So setting that expectation is something that I think new salespeople have a really tough time doing, because their head is so much about the script and asking questions. And then on top of that, you want them to maybe tell them, hey, your pavers aren't going to look much better. You're going to get the dirt and mold out, but unfortunately, the sealer has failed on these. I can't magically bring back the sealer. Or you've got these oil stains out there, and that's restoration. That's not part of the cleaning. Or you've got you've got hard water stains on your windows. That's part of that's restoration. That's not cleaning. And I think setting these expectations and taking the time to document the home and bring those things up for a new sales guy is pretty difficult. And it's difficult to train because there's endless scenarios.
Yes. And that's so key, because like as business owners and selling, we were the ones who ran into it. We were the ones who had to pay out the money, right,
Yes.
to fix the things because we didn't set the expectation in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now you got a whole new person, a whole new set of skills that you have to teach somebody, that like not everything is clean, right? And like
Mm.
everybody has their level of clean. You just got
Yeah.
to look inside their vehicle, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, like how do we teach all those nuances to set the proper expectation so the technicians get out there and have a smooth clean? Whereas the customer comes out, Garry, your sales guy said you were including the pavers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It cost a lot of money. So for you guys watching, like just that alone, approving the tickets, right? Reviewing the ticket with the customer, putting just a second set of eyes on that job, with a new sales rep, right? When they become seasoned and stuff, you don't have to look at every single one, but you are still looking at, 3, 4 quotes during that week that I'm just checking on. So I might be like, Garry, hey man, I looked at your quote the other day. It looked great. You're like, whoa, he's still checking my quotes. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And those are the things you always have to be watching. You got to keep your eye on the ball, because it's easy, I think, for a sales rep to work for the customer to get that sale and not really have the company overall in mind of like,
Yeah.
we can knock a little bit of this off. But in reality, that's, the profit on the job.
And going back, one of your questions was like one of the learning experiences I had, whether it was, and one of my successes, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to go on a totally opposite level here, because one of my best successes has been one of my worst fails, because I learned from it. Okay. And that success, what the failure was, giving people a discount in order to get the job or in order to get the sale. And I can't tell you how many times I've said to my sales rep, how it starts is how it ends.
Mm,
I do not give discounts. I have my 10% off if you're a new customer or a repeat customer. So it's the same discount. I've
yep.
got my 15% off for package B. My 10%, 15%, and my 20% off for package C, for the do it all package. And why do we give that discount? It's not arbitrary. It's because we're there longer. Our technicians aren't sitting in a truck driving around wasting gas. So
Yeah.
we take that and we pass that back to you. So there's a reason for that discount. It's not just a number, right?
Yeah.
So, but going back, how it starts is how it ends. I don't know how many times I've had someone be like, oh, can't you just do this? Can't you just do it for that amount? Can't you just, I just want to tell whoever listens to this, no. Learn to say no. Build your value.
Yes.
No, we don't do that. I cannot properly do the job for you at that price. And we don't take shortcuts. You know,
So
I'm not that guy. There's plenty of guys that can do it like that. And
Mhm.
if you're looking for that person, hey, there's lots of them. We wish you the best of luck. We would love to be the guy doing your cleaning, but I just can't do that. I can't do that to you. I can't do that to me. So I think it's so critical. If you're first starting out, don't let people step on you. Don't let them. That's probably the best and most formidable lesson I can give to anybody is learn from, we both done it, right?
Yeah.
Learn from our mistakes on that. Say it in a nice way, but don't do it. You set your level. You know what you need to make in an hour. Stick with it. Simple as that. Because those same people will be the ones that come back and complain about this, that, or something else that, in our opinion was pretty perfect, but or they the front of the house wasn't included with that or whatever it might be, what are you going to do? You need those reviews at that time, right? So you're trying to do anything you can to get those reviews. And unfortunately, those are the same people that aren't going to leave you a review.
Yeah.
So just say no.
That's right. So good, Garry. So good. All right. So in our industry, right, with, evolving things, we got YouTube, we got all the things. So we got a lot more competition, if you will, right? People that thought what we thought, right? You start the business, boom, you're up 60,000 a month right away. So with an ever evolving industry, people getting into it, what are you kind of seeing? You know what I mean? Like, what do you kind of forecast with that? With people with the tougher economy this year. July was a little tough for some people. So what are you kind of forecasting or seeing in the next couple of years with our industry?
I see a lot of opportunity. I see a lot of people are going to get into this, but they're getting into it with the wrong mindset. They're getting into it with the mindset of, I need to do something to make money. And you need to be in the mindset of this business is, I am a customer service provider that happens to do an incredible job cleaning.
Yes.
If you go into it with that mindset, you will get the right customers. You go into it with, I need to make a sale, you're going to get those people you wish you had said no to over and over and over. So I see a lot of people coming into this, and I see a lot of people coming into it doing a horrible job, and then people seeing, oh, look at this guy that's got 300 5-star reviews. And maybe next time I'll think about who I use. And then by having the right CRM and the right follow-up sequence, guess what? They become the next 70% repeat rate customer again, for you.
So true.
The next referral source.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked to a customer today, and she was from New York, and she had her house cleaned, just her house cleaned for $2,000, and they left lines in it. And she was like, we were doing her daughter's house down here in North Carolina, and she was just so impressed. She's like, yeah, we don't have companies. We just have people that do it on the side. There's no companies. And so, you're seeing a lot of that, of like, people really stepping up the game. But, unfortunately, the guys that are, just going out there, you do see them come in the industry every year, and then you see them selling their equipment at the end of the year, So it's like something you got to really have the mindset, like you're saying, is, you're serving. These are good deed tokens, right? We're in it. Like, obviously, we need the money to survive, but you're doing it as a good deed token, getting into this industry and doing a good job. And, like you said, doing it the right way with CRM and doing it the right way with the systems and the processes is just going to propel you forward even faster, to grow that team and get a little bit bigger to serve your community at a high level.
And with what you just said is like building the systems and all those things, it takes a lot of time. And for me, it held me back a long time because I've always been under, like, going back to sports and stuff like that. I get into it, I go super, super deep, and I put a lot of energy into it. And I think with the business, it was actually the wrong mindset. Whereas I should have done more small things every single day, very small, something that just allowed me to get one step closer to the goal instead of just trying to make the goal the thing. Because you get, you make non-decisions, you get analysis paralysis, you don't get anywhere, and you try to do everything sometimes too perfect. Whereas just make a video of how to set up the cones around your truck. Just make a video. Make a video of how to unwind your hose. It doesn't matter how perfect it is. Just make it. You can always make it better later. Get that employee handbook. Very important, written up there. Protect your business. Have Ring cameras, in your warehouse. I've got AI cameras in my vans. My guys know it. They sign off on it. But have your systems, but just don't try to do it all at once, because you'll fall into where I did, at least a lot of people will, where it becomes overwhelmed, and then you take a big step back from your business. And this year, I decided, in September, almost a year ago, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to finalize some of these things I wanted to create. And we're up over 100% already versus last year.
Yes.
Because I just committed to doing small actions every single day until I just got those things done. And they're not perfect. The emails to my customers aren't perfect, but they're there.
That's right. So good, Garry. So good. Well, I mean, when I announced that you were on the show tonight, dude, so much love. They're like, Garry Menk is the man. You know what I mean? Big heart, willing to help. You've helped so many people in the industry, dude, and we thank you for that. You're just doing amazing things. You're the nicest guy I've ever met. No joke. And you are a tinkerer. Like, you can solve some problems. You figure things out. It's cool how you've really built the rigs, you know what I mean, and problem solve for yourself. And it's been really cool to see that.
Yeah, keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. That's what I can say. Keep everything simple.
Yeah.
Go into it with the right mindset. I really recommend that every single person, reads profit first. And I utilize the profit first method. I think it's great because then you don't steal from yourself. I really think everybody should read the Dream Manager and really, learn how to take care of your team. And then what was the last one I wanted? Oh, the E-Myth, probably the most important one. The E-Myth, when you get to the point after your first year where you're trying to grow and you need to get out and want to work on the business instead of in the business, I think you need to have that book dialed in, read it a few times, and understand what you're trying to do. So the E-Myth, I think, is critical.
Yes. So good. So good. Well, there you guys go, man. Garry Menk, dude, thanks again for being on Community with Closers. It was a pleasure. You got so much. So if you guys are just hopping on, whether you're YouTube, Spotify, make sure you go back. Make sure you check it out. Garry dropped a bunch of nuggets for you guys to really implement in your business literally tomorrow. These are things that you can execute on. So thank you again, Garry.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother. And where can anybody reach out to you?
They can email me. It's probably the easiest. info@xterraclean.com. I will help anybody and everybody. I don't mind. I don't care if you're competing down the street from me. I'll help you.
Nice. There it is. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this evening's Community with Closers. We'll see you guys next week, Eastern Standard Time, right here. Have an amazing night.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.